There's a moment every man faces. You're in a meeting and a boss questions your judgment. You're with friends and someone throws a jab at your character. You're online and a stranger calls you fake, and almost without thinking, you defend yourself. That's not true. You misunderstood me. Let me explain. It feels reasonable. It feels fair. But here's the truth no one tells you. The second you defend, you've already lost. Because defense is not proof of innocence. It's proof of weakness. The crowd doesn't care if you're right. They care that you flinched. When you explain yourself, you hand the frame to your accuser. You're saying, your judgment matters more than my own. And once they own the frame, you're no longer in control. Even if you win the argument, you've already lost the power. So the question is, will you keep playing their game or will you flip it? Think about it. The man who explains always looks smaller. The one who stays calm, silent, composed, he holds the room. He doesn't fight for respect. He makes others give it. But here's the relief. You're not doomed to keep flinching. Power can be rebuilt in silence, in presence, in the calm that steadies the storm. This is the trap you must break, because the moment you stop defending is the moment you stop living on trial. In this video, I'll give you 8 moves that flip the power instantly. Moves that don't just protect you, they turn the accuser into the one on display. Moves that make silence speak louder than words, and presence heavier than proof. If you've ever felt cornered, misunderstood, or attacked, this is for you. Because once you master these moves, you'll realize something shocking. You never needed defense. You only needed control. Move 1. Why defending makes you weak. The moment you defend, you step into their frame. And here's the paradox. The harder you try to prove yourself, the more guilty you look. Picture this scene. A manager corners one of his team members in front of the whole room. Did you mess this up? The man panics. His pulse quickens. His voice cracks. No, you don't understand. I had reasons. Let me explain. He keeps going. One excuse after another. Papers shuffle. His words spill too fast. The air grows heavy. By the time he finishes, the accusation is forgotten. Nobody cares about his logic. What everyone remembers are his trembling hands and the tension that hung in the room. And here's the question, how many times has that been you? Not in a boardroom maybe, but in a relationship or an argument with a friend. The more you explained, the smaller you felt. Haven't you noticed that? That's the trap most men never see. They think explanation saves them. But explanation doesn't clear your name. It clears your power. You didn't prove yourself innocent. You showed you were unsettled for a moment. Because the moment you defend, you hand your accuser exactly what they wanted. The confirmation that their voice carries more weight than yours. You've crowned them the judge, and you've stepped willingly onto their trial. Think about it. How many times have you emptied your lungs trying to explain to someone who never intended to believe you? How many nights have you walked away from an argument not feeling respected, but feeling smaller? It doesn't have to end that way. Strength can be quiet. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is breathe once, steady your ground, and realize peace isn't given by them. It's created by you, right there in the fire. Here's the first move. Break the reflex to defend. Because let's be honest, defending yourself usually sounds less like strength and more like arguing with Wi-Fi. The harder you try to reconnect, the more ridiculous it looks. When someone calls you arrogant, selfish, or reckless, pause, do nothing. Let the words hang like smoke. Silence stretches. Seconds feel like minutes. And suddenly the accuser starts to shift. Their tone sharpens. Their eyes dart for validation. The crowd begins to wonder, why is he so calm? What does he know that they don't? That's the shift. The moment you stop defending, you stop being the one on trial. You force the other side to carry their own fire until it burns them. Practical step. The next time your chest tightens with the urge to explain, don't. Take 3 slow breaths. Hold your ground. Say nothing. Let the silence do the work. Because in that silence, you don't look guilty. You look untouchable. And that's why defending never saves you. It shrinks you. But the man who breaks the reflex, who can stay still while others unravel, that's the man the room never forgets. Move 2. The power of frame control. Every attack hides an invitation. Step onto my field. Play my game. And most people accept without even noticing. The moment you defend, you've agreed to their rules. You've said, yes, you have the right to question me. You have the power to put me on trial, and once you accept their frame, you're already losing. I've seen it happen too many times. A man is called arrogant in front of a group. He leans forward, words spilling out. I'm not arrogant. You've misunderstood me. I'm just confident. I'm just trying to, but no one hears the details. They only see him scrambling, trying to wrestle back a story he already surrendered. Here's the hard truth. The one who controls the frame controls the outcome. Even if the facts are on your side, the frame decides who walks away stronger. And here's the relief. You don't need to chase every attack. Stand like a mountain and let the echo die against your silence. There's a strange peace in knowing you don't have to answer every voice. True power isn't about noise, it's about presence. Think of a courtroom. It's not about who's innocent or guilty. It's about who controls the story. That's why politicians, leaders, and sharp operators guard the frame like it's their crown. Because it is. So what does frame control look like? It's simple. Refuse to play on borrowed ground. Don't run onto their field. Don't chase their words. Hold your own ground and let them stumble into yours. It's like playing soccer. You don't win by sprinting onto their half every time they shout. The smarter move is making them chase you until they're out of breath. I remember a man named Jonas looking me in the eye once and saying, "You think you're better than everyone." The old me would have argued for hours. I would have begged him to see my side. But that day I stayed still. I looked back and said, "Is that how you see it?" And then I left it there. The silence stretched. His face turned red. He started fumbling to explain himself. The weight shifted. I didn't win by proving him wrong. I won by refusing to accept his frame in the first place. And here's the real question. How many times have you lost not because you were wrong, but because you let someone else decide the rules of the game? That's the essence of this move. Don't defend, don't justify. Flip the mirror. Make them sit in their own accusation until it eats them alive. Practical step. The next time someone tries to pin you down, don't explain. Don't rush to clear your name. Instead, return one calm question. Is that how you see it? Or, interesting perspective. What makes you say that? Then stop. Let the silence do the rest. Because in that silence, the field tilts. Suddenly, they're the one exposed, struggling to stay composed under the gaze of the crowd. Remember this. Defense is reaction. Frame control is power. And the man who controls the frame doesn't just win the argument. He decides if there even is one. Move 3, silence as a weapon. Silence terrifies people. They expect noise, reaction, argument, heat. When it doesn't come, the air bends. The crowd leans in. Everyone feels the weight. Picture this. A dinner party, elegant and loud. Glasses clink. Laughter bounces across the room. Then someone decides to aim a dart at you. He's not as smart as he thinks. The room freezes. Forks pause midair. Every head turns to see what you'll say. Most men rush to defend. That's not true, I never. And just like that, they're trapped. But the stronger man? He doesn't rise to the bait. He lifts his glass slowly, takes a calm sip, and says nothing. His eyes meet the accuser's, steady, unblinking. Now the room is holding its breath. People start to shift. Who looks smaller? Not you, the one who spoke first, the one who looks desperate for a fight. That's the secret. Silence flips the spotlight. The accuser thought they were putting you on display, but when you refuse to dance, they're the one left standing under the glare, with nothing to hide behind. Think about the most powerful figures you've ever seen. They weren't the ones shouting. They were the ones who could sit in total stillness while everyone else cracked under the pressure of their gaze. Silence wasn't absence. It was a blade, sharp and invisible. But silence can also be a shelter. Like sitting beside a still lake at dawn. You realize the world can roar, but your calm is untouchable. In that stillness, you remember, you don't need to fight every battle to be seen as strong. I'll admit, silence is not easy. It burns. Every part of you wants to speak, to explain, to fight back. But the longer you hold it, the more the other side unravels. It's almost funny. Watching someone argue with silence is like watching a cat chase its own tail. The harder they spin, the sillier it looks. They repeat themselves. They grow louder, harsher, more emotional. And with every word, they chip away at their own credibility, while your silence multiplies your strength. Haven't you noticed? The louder they get, the weaker they look, and the quieter you stay, the stronger you feel. Because here's the truth. Words may defend you, but silence crowns you. And the man who can hold silence without breaking doesn't just survive the attack, he turns it into his weapon. Move 4, inverting the attack. Not every attack deserves silence. Sometimes the sharpest move is inversion, taking their weapon and turning it back on them without lifting a finger. Picture a boardroom. The air is stiff, every eye on the table. Someone leans forward and spits the word, "You're manipulative." Most men panic. They rush into denial. "No, I'm not. You've misunderstood me. I only meant..." But denial only feeds the frame. It confirms you felt the need to clear yourself. Now watch the man who understands inversion. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't frown. He smiles faintly, tilts his head and says, "Strange? Only those who can't influence anyone seem to say that." And just like that, the room tilts. The accuser is exposed, stripped, standing alone with their bitterness. The crowd doesn't see a manipulator anymore. They see a confident man deflecting fire with ice, and another man shifting uncomfortably under the weight of his own words. This is the essence of inversion. When someone throws dirt, you don't clean yourself. You let them stand in it. By reframing the attack as a sign of their weakness, you force them to carry the shame they hope to pin on you. And here's the calm truth. You don't need to fight mud with mud. Be like water flowing around the stone, untouched, still shining under the sun. That reminder alone can steady your breath when the jab comes. Think about it. Accused of arrogance? Funny how confidence unsettles the insecure. Called cold? Better cold than careless. Called selfish? Everyone says that when they stop getting what they want. Notice what these lines do. They don't defend. They don't explain. They don't argue. It's almost comedic, like someone trying to slap water. They only end up wet and you remain exactly as you are. They shift the spotlight, transforming accusation into confession. And the best part? The calmer you are delivering them, the sharper they cut. And ask yourself, how many times have you given your power away, Not because the insult was true, but because you rushed to prove it wasn't. Because when you invert the attack, you don't just dodge the hit. You let the other man trip over the weight of his own weapon, and nothing flips the power faster than that. Do you want your silence to cut sharp, or your presence to carry weight? The next part gives you both. If this is striking a chord, drop a quick like. It helps me know you're here, listening in. Move 5. The art of disappearing. Some men fight fire with fire. The wiser man removes the oxygen. There's a move colder than silence, disappearing. Not just refusing to defend in the moment, but refusing to even acknowledge the attack afterward. Imagine this. You open your inbox. A long, furious email is waiting. Paragraph after paragraph of accusations, each one daring you to respond. The average man reacts instantly, typing pages of defense, proof, explanations, desperate to clear his name. But the stronger man, he closes a message. He lets it sit in the dark, unanswered, like a spark dying on cold metal. Here's the quiet truth. You don't have to answer every cry for attention. Sometimes peace comes not from speaking, but from choosing stillness. Like stepping out of a crowded room into the open night. The noise no longer owns you. Days pass, another email comes, louder, more emotional. Then another, and with every message, the sender looks weaker, more consumed by their own fire. While you, untouched, because you've stolen the one thing they wanted most, your attention. Haven't you seen it? The more you ignore, the louder they get, and the louder they get, the smaller they look. This is the art of disappearing. When you withhold not only your defense, but your presence, you let the other person wrestle with their own echo, and echoes always fade. Ask yourself, how many battles in your life only existed because you refused to walk away? It's the same online. Someone tags you publicly. This guy's a fraud. Most people panic. Long statements, emotional videos, endless clarifications. But the man who disappears says nothing. He doesn't argue, doesn't fuel the fire. He lets the accuser shout into the void. It's almost funny, like someone yelling at an empty chair. The longer they shout, the more everyone else wonders if maybe the problem isn't the chair. And what happens? The accuser posts again, louder each time. They beg for a fight that never comes. Soon the crowd shifts. They don't see a villain anymore. They see obsession. That's the genius of disappearing. You don't crush your opponent. You let their own noise collapse under its weight. The next time someone attacks you, online, at work, or in private, resist the urge to engage. When attacked, do nothing. Let silence be your answer. Because disappearing isn't weakness, it's clarity. And the man who can walk away without a word doesn't look fragile. He looks free. Move 6. Reframing as status assertion. Power isn't volume, it's direction. Defense is reaction. Frame control is presence. But sometimes silence alone isn't enough. The strongest move is to flip the attack and let the other man perform on his own stage. Picture this, a tense boardroom. A rival leans forward and says, "Your strategy will ruin the company." The average leader panics, rushing into explanations, proving himself, accepting the frame of judgment. Now imagine the stronger move. He leans back, waits, lets the silence stretch, then says calmly, "Then let's hear your strategy." The room shifts. The attacker, who expected to judge, now stands judged. All eyes turn. Now he must deliver. And under that gaze, most men falter. This is the beauty of restraint. You don't match their fire. You hold your calm like a lantern in the dark. In that glow, others see clearly who is steady and who is shaken. This is reframing as status assertion. You don't fight for the higher ground. You let the other man reveal whether he can even stand there. You don't explain yourself. You invite him to explain himself. It's like karaoke. Everyone wants the microphone until it's in their hands. Then the room discovers who can really sing. A colleague mocks, "You act like you know everything." Most defend. The reframer smiles, "Interesting." Then share what you know. Now the mocker stands on trial. How many times have you lost? Not because you were wrong, but because you accepted their stage instead of building your own? Or someone sneers, "You never think things through." The weak defend, the strong say, "Then walk us through your process." Instantly, the burden shifts. Train yourself to respond with redirection instead of defense. One calm question can shift the entire room. Because when you reframe the attack, you don't just survive it, you rise. Move 7, building the aura. Some men enter a room and disappear. Others enter, and the room forgets to breathe. At the highest level, it's not about defense or redirection anymore. It's about presence. Aura, that invisible force people feel when you walk into a room before you even speak. Most men chase approval. They want to be liked, to be cleared of suspicion. But aura grows in the opposite direction, from refusal, from calm, from stillness. I remember Elena once told me, "You scare people without trying." She didn't mean aggression. She meant composure, because when you show no need to defend, people fill in the blanks with power. Aura is quiet, like the glow of a candle in a dark room. Aura is like gravity. Unseen, but you feel it in your chest when he walks in. It doesn't force itself. It steadies everything around it. You realize that strength can be silent and still, like calm returning after a storm. Think of those you've met who carried aura. They didn't speak often, but when they did, the room shifted. They weren't the loudest, but they were the most grounded. They could hold still while others erupted. And in that stillness, they grew larger than life. Have you ever met someone whose calm unsettled you without them saying a word? Aura is not performance, it's consistency, built one choice at a time, not in grand gestures, but in the smallest decisions. Each moment you don't rise to bait. Each time you let silence hold the room. Each time you walk away from noise without looking back. People act like aura is magic, but it's practice, like a scent, unseen, yet it lingers and changes the entire space. In moments of tension, stay still. Don't fidget. Don't over-explain. Keep your voice calm and your eyes steady. Because the man who builds aura doesn't just win arguments. He doesn't need them. His presence is the answer. Move 8. From silence to definition. The last level of power isn't silence. It's definition. Silence is power. Aura is influence. But the highest form is definition. Living so clearly that your presence defines you without a word. Most men chase approval. They defend, explain, polish correct. But the more you chase innocence, the guiltier you look. The more you explain, the less people believe. Picture this. A woman you love says, "You don't care about me anymore." Most men panic, defending, convincing, proving. But the man of definition pauses, lets silence hang, then says, "That's not how I see it." No pleading, no rush, just grounded clarity. And suddenly the tone shifts. Doubt creeps in, not about him, but about the accusation itself, because his calm defines the frame. His calm lands heavier than any explanation could. When was the last time you ended an argument by saying less and gain more? Wouldn't you rather be remembered for your composure than for 100 explanations? That's definition. You end the storm by refusing to join it. One short, steady line closes a scene where long speeches only prolong it. Practical step. End conflicts with short seals, not defenses. End it clean, no follow-ups. Because the man who defines rather than defends becomes untouchable. His silence shapes the story. His calm decides the frame. And paradoxically, the less you explain, the more people imagine. And imagination always paints you stronger than truth ever could. Never forget, defending yourself makes you predictable. Defining yourself makes you untouchable. Live beyond defense. You've seen 8 moves from defense to dominance. Defense shrinks you. Stillness expands you. Clarity frees you. How many hours have you spent trying to convince those who never meant to believe you? How many nights did you replay arguments only to feel smaller at the end? It ends here. You are not on trial. You never were. From now on, you don't owe explanations. You owe presence. Because the world doesn't follow with noise. It follows calm. And when you stop defending, something shifts. Respect grows. People talk less, listen more. They call it mystery, but it's just discipline. That's the paradox of power. The less you chase it, the more it comes. The less you explain, the more they imagine. So never defend yourself, define yourself. Not with words, but with the quiet weight of your being. And when he rises, he carries peace, not proof. Because the man who stops defending doesn't just survive, he rises. And when you rise above defense, you don't just look untouchable, you are free.